Hello everyone! We had mentioned in our update video that we still haven't placed outside the few orchids that we have that require, or at least benefit, from a cold winter rest. The general rule of thumb I've heard for some of these plants is to keep them colder and with no water from Halloween to Valentine's Day. But we've had good results before just by keeping them outside for about 6 to 8 weeks. So I wasn't too worried when this year it wasn't seasonably warm, up until November. By then we had a trip scheduled for December and that one ran longer, so by the time we got home the temperatures were now too low. Honestly, sometimes I feel like the weather Goldilocks. You see, I want to give these plants a colder environment than our grow room, but I still feel more comfortable if they stay above 10 degrees Celsius. And up until now, we've had nights with a minimum of 4 to 6 degrees. Now the weather predictions say it should stay above 10 at night. And honestly, we don't have much time before the temperatures start rising again, like they always do, around February. So it's now or never if we want to place them outside. If we look at the plants we chose, some of them are already losing their leaves. I think this is because a couple of weeks ago the temperatures got so low at night that I think the orchid room itself got cold enough to affect them. Fortunately, the rest of the collection seems fine. So let's take a look at the plants we've selected to go outside. First we have this Dendrobium, and this is the one that forced us to start placing orchids outside in the first place. It's a primary hybrid between two species that require a winter rest, and it needs to be below 12 degrees for a decent blooming. We've had it for 8 years, and it spent a few being clearly big enough to bloom, but putting out only a few flowers every year. Since we started giving it more cold, on top of withholding water in the winter, we've had gorgeous bloomings. Then we have the Kingi Enams, that, like the big Dendrobium, could have been outside in the lower temperatures. But since we were going to be away, I decided not to. As you can see, they're already losing their leaves, so I'm really not sure how they're going to do this year. I'm still trying to figure them out, because even though it grows really well and flowers every year, the big one seems to open one flower at a time and then lose them quickly, unlike others we've seen online and at orchid shows. The other one is the first year that it's with us, so we'll have to see how they both do this year. If you want to see an update on all of these plants in a couple of months, you should let us know. This is another Dendrobium, the Pishi. It's also starting to lose its leaves, so it's also late for its winter rest. We've had this one since 2020 and it still gets no flowers. It's growing well and it was placed outside with the others last year, but it doesn't want to flower. Let's hope this is the year somehow, even though so far it hasn't been ideal in terms of temperatures. We also place our coelogyne cristata outside. In fact, around here, most people grow them outside year-round. We chose not to because in our balconies, even cacti get sunburned. And I generally dislike keeping orchids outside. This year is the first time that the coelogyne doesn't look like it's about to die, but it's still a long way from thriving. And if placing it outside and reducing its water can help it in any way, we're gonna do it. Last year we made the experiment of placing our paphiopedilum Pinocchio outside, purely out of desperation. For years it wouldn't flower properly, and it kept aborting the few flowers it made. And placing it outside seems to have worked. This was the first year we got good flowers out of it. This plant is one of those that shouldn't go below 10 degrees. So we're going to keep an eye on the thermometer. Another one we're going to try outside is our chysis. I cannot for the life of me remember if we did this last year or not. But the care guides for this plant say it requires a dry rest and enjoys lower temperatures in winter. So I think there's nothing to lose in placing her outside. And it's also a way to keep it out of the way and not water it by accident. The weirdest one we're placing outside is the Sideria Japonica. We are still experimenting with this one, but we did place it outside last year based on some things we read online, and it seemed to do well. If this works and we can keep it up, we really want to make a more in-depth video about its care, because so many people seem to struggle with her. I feel like I'm forgetting some orchid, but this needs to happen today, so these are the ones I'm going to place outside. These are the shelves we used to place the orchids outside. Right now we only have our cymbidium here and the blatilla. We like these shelves because they have a cover, so that if the sun gets too strong, we can still cover the orchids. We also placed inside a Wi-Fi thermometer and hygrometer that we can connect to our app, and then it will alert us if the temperatures get too high or too low. Because at the end of the day the sedirea is still Phalaenopsis, I'm going to place her way in the back of the shelves to hopefully be protected from the sun by the other plants. Being a paphiopedilum, the Pinocchio doesn't like too much light, so it also goes in the back to be protected by the dendrobiums. I think the coelogyne should also go in the back to make sure it doesn't burn. The chysis has the same light requirements as the coelogyne, so I'm also going to place it in the back next to it. Some of the leaves are still peeking through, but I think it's going to be okay. Like a lot of deciduous dendrobiums, the Pishi likes more light in the winter, so I think it can stay in the front of the shelves. The Kingi Enams care says that they can handle full sun, so I'm placing them in the forefront of the shelves. The bigger one on the bottom because it doesn't fit on the top shelf. The big dendrobium is the hardest one to place outside because it's mounted and it's huge. I'm gonna have to leave it hanging on the shelves, which means it's not as protected from the sun as the other orchids. This ends up being alright because it requires higher light in winter. And if any of the leaves burn, well, they're due to falling out either way. So here they are, and will be for the next month or two, until the temperature rises. Like I said, if you want an update in a few months, let us know and we'll try to make it. In the meantime, I hope this video was helpful for your own collection, or at least entertaining. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. And we'll see you next week for another video. Goodbye.